Hello, my name is Kevin Poorman. I'm a developer advocate here at Salesforce, and today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different on codeLive. We're going to be working with our sample app that is based in iOS. It's written with Swift and Swift UI, and it's our sample app that connects a mobile device to a Salesforce org. Now, this was started a couple of years back, and over time it's been evolving, as most apps do. And one of the things that evolved about a year ago was that we introduced Combine. Combine is how do I put this? It's a wonderful, powerful streaming processing framework, sometimes called a reactive framework, but it is one that it definitely has a steeper learning curve. Now, sort of the canonical way or the canonical use case for Combine is to use Combine to process a list or a stream of results as they come in from, say, a network request. Well, last year, excuse me, I say last year, last WWDC, so back in June, I believe, I think it was June, they released something new in Swift 5.5 called AsyncAwait. And so what we're going to try to do today is we're going to try and look at the differences between AsyncAwait and Combine as we currently have it, and then we're going to try and move our code from Combine to AsyncAwait. Now, the reason we're going to do this is because it's conceptually simpler to understand, and conceptually simpler code makes for less bugs. So I don't know of any bugs in Redwoods Insurance here, our sample app, but we want to demonstrate what AsyncAwait is and make it available, make people aware of what it does so that you can use it in your own iOS apps that connect to Salesforce. So we're going to be using the Salesforce SDK for iOS, and we're going to be working with mostly this class. This is our REST client extension. You'll see it's an extension here, and again, if you've not used Swift before, I'm not really going to dive deep into the syntax of things, but if we run into questions, comments, or snide remarks, feel free to hit me up with them in the chat, and I will try to explain what it is that Swift is doing here. But we've got these methods in here like fetch data, and what fetch data does is it gets a publisher, and that's a Combine construct. A publisher creates data, and it's going to create that publisher from an API request. And then it's going to do a series of actions on that API request's results. So when the publisher emits data, it's going to try and map the results to JSON as JSON key value pairs. Now, if you look up here, you'll see that we've got JSON key value pairs as a type alias to a dictionary. This is a Swift dictionary nomenclature with string keys and any kind of object as the value. And then we're going to keep moving on down here. We're going to try, once we've got it as JSON value pairs, then we're going to try and grab the records field of that. And it's itself a key value, a dictionary of string and any. And then we're going to grab the object ID and so on and so forth. And then we're going to grab our fields. So what we end up doing here in Combine is we take our incoming data stream and we process it. Every time we get data, we're going to process it. Now, generally, in this kind of case, with a API request, we're going to get one response. And as a result, we're going to do this try map, then we're going to do our maps, and then we're going to do this one map here where we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and invert the data. Now, this is a special call. It's a little bit weird because it's dealing with grabbing information from the record UI API and then using that to try and build a second request. But what we're going to do here is we're going to start working on this, and we're going to start a little bit before we get to the point where we're making this. One of the things that we want to do is I want to start adding some extensions here that'll help us make it easier for us to decode the JSON. So instead of doing all this map work, which is fairly specific to Combine, what we're going to do is we're going to try and build a decoding method that is built into our REST client here. And to do that, we're going to create a method here. And I'm going to do func, and we'll call this one decode. And I've got some notes over here because I've only ever done this once before. And so if I'm researching my notes here, referencing my notes here, please forgive me. And to do this, we're going to use generics. And so I'm going to do T in, this has got to be a decodable. Okay, so we got our decodable there. And then for our method source here, we're going to do type, and this is going to be a t dot type. It's got to be capitalized. T dot type, and that's going to equal to t dot self. So this one we're not really going to. This is a parameter that's being automatically set unless it's overridden. So we're going to grab the type self, and now we're going to say from our data, and how do we do that? We're going to be passing in the data here, and we're not going to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say data. Well, we'll do data. And data is a data type, if you're not familiar with iOS and Swift programming. And I believe, we have to refactor this, but I believe data is what the NSURL object returns. But actually, it's not going to be NSURL. Let's look at our iOS SDK. Salesforce iOS SDK. Go to the Mobile Developer Center here on developer.salesforce.com. And then I'm going to go look at the Mobile SDK Development Guide. Okay, and you know, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my method here below, because you see that this is going to take that REST request and get the publisher for it, and it's going to return this as JSON. So what we can do is we can, well, that's going to be a publisher. Let's look at our frameworks, our pods here. Pods down here, and I'm going to go into the pods, and where is my products? There's our SDK. What I want to see is what that is going to return. So frameworks, development pods, SDK core. Go into SDK core, resources. This is, I don't think that's what I want. Where are my actual code files for this? And let's see here. Hey, where everybody tuning in from today while I look up this documentation? Let's see where everyone is coming from. That's not there as I look around my coffee cup. Frameworks, nope. Well, let's try the documentation page again. So, about this guide, I don't want to look at the trails. What I really want is, oh, here we go. Getting Swift into, nope. Following with signposts, sample applications, passcode, SDK. Where's my REST client class? REST APIs. We're digging into it here. Creating REST requests and use REST request methods. Okay, so here's our REST request send, and it's got, this is a closure-based syntax. But there is also another way of doing this. Where is my SF REST API blocks? Is going to be block type and a complete block of SF REST dictionary response block. Expected data response. Block-based methods send your request for you. Yeah, okay. We may have to revisit this part. I'm not sure about that, but we're going to try and crack on so that we can check this out. So we're going to take our data here, and we're going to also do a key decoding strategy. And we're going to set this one to be JSON decoder dot key decoding strategy is equal to use default keys. Now this is again a defaulted. We're always going to set this up unless you override it. So you can leave this one off if you'd like. The only one we have to pass in so far is our data. We're going to set that one up. We're going to set a couple others up here. And we're going to have data decoding strategy. And that is a JSON decoder dot data decoding strategy. And we're going to echo that one to deferred to data. That's a safe default. And then we're going to do date decoding strategy. And do that one to JSON decoder dot date decoding strategy. Awesome. And we're going to set this one to deferred to date. Okay. So with that, there we go. We've got this. Now our method here, and this is where we're going to start getting into something that's a little bit different, is we're going to set this up to be async throws. Now async, because we're doing this with asynchronous await work, and so we want this to be able to, we want to be able to say, okay, go do this, and then logically say, okay, now that you've done this, do some other work without actually having to sit around and code for how to handle it waiting until that is actually done. So we're going to say async throws, and we're going to have this return t. That's our returning type. Now remember, we're doing this generically. So we've got this type here, our type t, and we're going to return that type t. Now, for those of you who are playing along at home with Swift, new Swift developers, this is one of the interesting things about Swift that I really love, because this allows you to write a generic bit of method, a generic decode method here that can return, say, an account or an opportunity or a my custom object __ c, all so long as you have a data model that matches. So if we look in our data models here, you can see that we've got a claim Swift, and we've got some coding keys set up, and our class here, our struct, sorry, implements decodable. And because it implements decodable, we can reference that as our type. Where did my class go? Here we go. So anything that matches the decodable protocol can be passed in here as a parameter, and then it will return that out. So we're going to take data in from our API call and return a fully instantiated struct of either user or claim or case. Okay, and I really like the way that looks, and the way it looks to actually call this is we're going to do something like this. We're going to let me look at my notes so I don't get this wrong. We're going to do async let, we'll do user info equals, we'll do rest client.decode, and we're going to pass in the results of our API call. So we'll do our API call here, like that. And because we are going to specify here that this user info variable is a user object, a user struct, then this is type safe, and know that this API call that we're passing in here should be returning something that can be decoded by our method into a user struct. And the way that Swift handles that type safety by both looking at what it knows and what it has is really awesome, in my opinion. So we've got our async throws here, and it's giving me an error. Let's see what my error is. Probably that I haven't marked it await. Oh, it's because this is a great example of something we have to do. We have to mark this app as being available in iOS 15. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to my Redwoods insurance, and I'm going to look at my signing and capabilities tab. And where is my general? I'm looking for where I spent my API resources. Document types. I think it's on this. Build settings. Here we go. base SDK, build active architectures only, blah, blah, blah. Where's my iOS version? Oh, here we go. Version. iOS 14. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to iOS 15. And I'm going to close that window. Now, one of these should have gone away. So if I get rid of that, and then available attribute, we'll just skip it. We're going to make this all iOS 15 available as we move to this. And okay, so we got that there. And now what I want to do is finish working on my decoding bit. So we have our async throws t, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say let data. Now, Swift uses this underscore as to being a variable that it doesn't care about. So we're going to move that there just to say we want the data part of this. We're going to say try, await. Let's do rest result response. And here, instead of data, what we're going to do is we're going to do rest request. And this is a rest request. Okay. So we're going to do try AsyncAwait the rest response. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to say rest response, and it's going to be our rest request.send. Rest request dot and where that one called rest request dot two. Really? Thought it was send. Right click, jump to definition. And we're going to look at rest request did fail. Nope. We want SF rest request. Jump to definition. Here's our rest request definition. We're looking at, these are the methods and properties. Oh, that's right. It's we have to use rest client dot shared dot send request. Oh, it's going to be rest request, and then yeah, that might be more difficult than I thought, because we want this to be so we want to have this, and there's not a return method that passes it back. So let's undo this. And our completion block, rest request, our completion block is going to be it's going to be a result. So rest response, rest client error in think that is going to work correctly. We can get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. We're still saying that this is not working because of concurrency is only available in Swift in iOS 15. But I thought we fixed that, so let's go over here. And for Redwoods Insurance, the project, I got a mobile device target deployment of 15, which is what we want. So if I close that, I would expect that to go away. Let's just build that. Okay. Let's try these. Void is not convertible to underscore underscore. Tuples have different number of elements. Cannot call value of non-function type REST request. Got this. We're going to return these methods. When we're doing that, we're just returning. So let's start off with fixing this one in 15 or newer. So concurrency is only available in Swift, but we've set this to be in Swift 15 or on iOS 15. And so why are we iOS development target 15? Let's do this. Let's come here and we're going to clean the build folder. Cleaning, and then we're going to build it. And I expect it's still going to fail here, but not with those. Maybe. Still compiling. Okay. Okay, so missing parameter 2. Ah, that's why. Okay, so I have the syntax incorrect. Is it that? I often forget Swift closure. I don't write enough Swift, unfortunately. Closure syntax Swift trailing closure. Let's get this right. Trailing closure.
If the last parameter to a function is a closure.
No, stop. Stop. Okay. So trailing closure syntax. We're going to have our method with a block like that. And nobody in chat today. It's getting a little quiet in here. Now we want to do this. And then our trailing closure syntax is going to have that call there. So we're going to say, nope, it's not that. We're going to have our request and then our method with a, oh, we got to give it a name. Get rid of this one. Okay. Expected parenthesis to be, now this one, I thought this was, nope. Let's look at the docs for this. Blocks API. handling, creating REST requests, REST client factory methods, handling REST requests, shared request for query, good. Send your new REST request using the REST client interface. This is going to get the shared request for query. Response on the trailing closure. So send, and then we've got our, yeah, okay, so I got the problem is I have my syntax incorrect. Let's try this. That's where that goes. Okay, did that contextual closure type. Void expects one and I'm going to make this return. Actual closure type void expects responses and rest. Okay, fine. That doesn't like that. This is what I get for not writing enough Swift here. So we've got our method here that is going to take these two response REST clients. In our example over here, we're going to have result, and result contains both of those. So we'll take result. Okay, and then tuples have a different number of elements, and I want this bit to respond with a particular type. So what I need to do is make this send. See, it's going to be handle success, response, request. Well, we've got this responding to a REST request. It's going to accept a REST request and return the result. And I need it to handle this. And the way I get that is to return the response. So just copy and paste this here for a second. I don't want to do that. I want to return response. And we can do the logging. That's fine. Tuples have a different number of elements. Oh. Maybe it's because result, I just want to return result. Return result. Maybe. Can I convert value of results, REST response, to closure result type void? Yeah. So this is tricky, but if I want my result to return the closure, now I was looking at this, we've got this AsyncAwait stuff, and in this case, got our function, with completion closure different from AsyncAwait? So the classic completion closure type, yeah, we've done pretty much exactly that. And bridging async code together. Do some synchronous function. Wait, save changes. Nope. No, what I want to do is I want to figure out how to have this code. So this is async code. It's going to sleep and it's going to return a response. So what if we did this? What if we created a new method? Func fetch async fetch request. We'll do rest request request, and we're going to have this return a response, REST response. And then what we'll do is we'll move this bit up here. So we're going to say we're going to return that data, and we're not going to return result. We're going to return result dot we look at it, we had this in our documentation. We're going to return, okay, let's try this again. And we'll put this in here. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We just want to do return response. Okay. We don't need to let that. We can just do that. Try await, and we're going to do async func that. Okay. Async must be written after the parameter. That's right. So it's func async. That one goes away. Again, with this, concurrency is only available in iOS 15 or newer. I wonder if that's a bug in Xcode right now. Xcode 13. Concurrency is only available in iOS 15 or newer. Yeah, you can't use that. Currency back deployment is successfully deployed. 13, see here. Okay. Due to the fact that app template sets the app target deployment to 14. Target deployment is going to be set to 15 as soon as I find it. 15. Boom. Okay. Build that again. Still expect some failures. Did not expect that one. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Finally cleared that up. I needed to both set the target build as well as the project build. Okay, cannot convert expression of type to return REST response. We're going to return the response there. I don't know why. This is going to go send the request that we're passing in, and and it's going to say on result, successful result, return the response. But this is saying cannot convert return expression of type empty to type rest response. And I'm not entirely sure what that means. So let's Google it. Function header says you're returning a closure that takes an int and returns a string. So that's what your function should return. So it's saying that this is going to return a void. And so this should handle a void. Let's look at our docs for this again. Handling REST requests. And this is taking a closure. Howdy, Kevin. Hope you're doing well. I joined late. What's the product? Chaz, good to see you today. Today we're working in Swift and Swift UI on the Redwoods insurance project. We are working to try and migrate away from Combine, which is a totally valid and powerful framework, to something that's a little bit conceptually simpler to understand called Async/Await. AsyncAwait is pretty much identical to what you may be familiar with from JavaScript. It allows you to have asynchronous code in line with synchronous code in such a way that it will wait for your asynchronous code to finish. So we are trying to move to that, but we're trying to wrap our send method here, our REST client send method, in a async method. We've defined this async fetch request to grab this, and we're trying to tease out how to make this work right. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience with AsyncAwait in any language. I learned it first here in Swift, and I've only ever implemented it in things that I was implementing 100% by myself, not in terms of like getting results. So I am currently working on teasing out how this all works. But it's good to hear from you, Chaz. Where are you from? Let's see. We've got our success. It's going to let response async return response. I think that should work, and it's telling me it's not going to work. So this is our example of where we're grabbing this. Let result equals try await. We did that. We got a do catch block. Not called directly from synchronous code. We wrap it in. That's fine. Rewriting code. This code is going to save changes. It's asynchronous. I want to know how we save changes. Random. Yeah, this is totally made up examples. Jackson, Mississippi. My wife's family is from right around near there. My memories of Jackson are that it was extremely hot and humid, but that's probably when I was visiting. We've got a async function, and we've got this synchronous function. So let's do this. Let's make a targeted query here. We're going to say wrap synchronous wrap closure function in async function Swift 5.5. Let's see if that gets us anywhere. See, building async await. So here we've got something. Oh, this may be kind of what we're looking for. So we've got our get all posts method here in his web service class, and he's using this bit to go grab the URL, and then he's going to use a URL session shared data task, and we can't do any of that because we're using the SDK. And so we look at our, let's see, REST request methods. do it this way. GitHub.com/Salesforce Developers. Let's see if that's the right one. Salesforce Developers, they have, nope, that's not the right one. Let's do the Salesforce iOS SDK. Google for that, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay. Salesforce iOS SDK GitHub. There we go. It's force.com is easy. That's what it is. So if we go here and we look into the common library, actually I'm going to go to core. I think it's core. And these are our class references, and we've got the SF REST. Nope. It's going to be in common. Okay, SF. New controller. SDK core. Could have sworn it was going to be in core. Let's do REST. Native REST request listener, REST API, REST request. And what I actually want is the send method, or the shared. What do we call that? It's REST client. Where is our documentation on this? Library. Nope. It's core. Let's try common. REST. Nope. Sync. Gotta be in core. REST. Request listener. Request delegate. REST API. Sections. REST API tests. Nope. Go in this. And here are all of the methods that are available. Extension methods, active request requires blah, blah, blah. Compute API version, that's new. I wonder what that does. Okay. Shared instance with this user has the REST request. Got this set up. Request for base URL source. Yeah. These are the methods that it can call. Where am I? Not a category. I would have sworn that this was going to be in here under REST client. I'm trying to figure out how to wrap a REST request from Salesforce in an AsyncAwait method. Now in my code, I've got this try await, and it occurs to me that this isn't actually, this method is not actually async awaited, so I can't async, so I can't await it. And let's see if, okay, that might have fixed it. That might have been just me being brain poofy. Nope, maybe. Wait, what? Cannot return expression type of nothing to return type REST response. It looks like I've got two of these here. So let's, okay. So send, jump to definition. Let's try this. And it's going to return void. Okay, so send request with a failure block and a completion block. And my completion block I just need to specify the completion block's result. But I am. Let's do it this way. Maybe. So it wants it to be void. Declared closure result REST response is incompatible with contextual type void. I don't want it to be void. I want it to be REST response. Look here. Please change Visual Studio background to white, unable to read code. This is actually xcode. What I can do is I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger here. So send result in switch case failure towards decodable. This is effectively what we want to do. In fact, I wrote this method, but instead of doing it with combine, we want to do it with paired fetch records of model type result in switch result. Do something with your. I just want to make this async, and I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something to do this here. I want to wrap a synchronous method in async. Swift 5.5 wrap synchronous code in async. Connecting Swift other code. AsyncAwait. That's using calling async from asynchronous data, retrofitting existing APIs with AsyncAwait. Aha! Aha! Here we go. Load comments for document with ID. Great. Then handler escaping void comment loader. And we're going to, with checked throwing continuation, load document. Okay. So we can use the with checked throwing continuation function to wrap a call to our existing method with an async marked version of it. That looks like it could be quite helpful. Okay, so we've got our method here, and it's got this try await. So let's do try await with checked continuation. And we're going to, with check continuation, it's going to be continuation in. And then we're going to put this block of code in it. So switch result, continuation resume. Haha! There we go. I knew there was a way to do this. I'm not crazy for that. Continuation resume returning response. Awesome. So does this have switch result? Okay, so we don't need this there. We don't need that continuation. Okay. Can't find root view controller. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out, and we're just going to do print error dot localized description. Cancel that one out. Okay, I'm liking this so far. This is, I'm feeling much better about this. Try await with checked continuation to return REST response. Now, if we use this example, comment loader function. It's not going to return anything. So we get rid of that. That should go away there. Maybe. Cannot. I'm gonna rebuild this. Make sure that it actually cleared the errors. Generic parameter t could not be inferred. I don't see a generic parameter t because we're doing REST client shared send REST request, which we have. Result. Is this case success? Yeah, case success and case failure. Continuation in. Oh, this is gonna, that's what they're doing. We're going to throw, and this is going to return an array of comments. And so this is going to return a REST response. Like that. No, I got 5 more errors. Okay, great. Try this again. No async operations occur within the await expression. So load documents is not asynchronous. Function load comments. Okay, so this is not async then, is what they're saying. That seems weird, but it is. Oh no, it is async. Throws. Wait. Func. Async throws. Async throws. Returns. REST response. That doesn't need to be there. Maybe. Rebuild that. When we look at this, the formatting is throwing me off here because this is the method itself, and it's async throws, and it's going to return, in this case, it's going to return comments. And then in here, we're going to have the try, and this is our actual closure-based response method. No throwing functions. That's fine. No calls to throwing functions. I got rid of that. It's just a warning, but I'm curious as to why that's there. We have 7 minutes left, and this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. But it looks like we just got rid of that particular issue. So we've got a async fetch request, and this is going to return our it won't return a composite request, it'll return a regular request, but that's okay, because down here in this method, what we're going to do is we're going to say await let async. Actually, first let's do this. Guard let request equal REST request, and then there was I saw a neat trick here just a second ago where they were doing a guard with a failure. Guard, not this one. Okay. I don't think it was that one. I'll look for it here. But we're going to take this and we're going to say guard let request is equal to request return, or else return. Oh, well, no, I don't need to do that because it's a required method. It's not an optional. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say await let response equals async fetch request REST request that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that this is data like that. Okay, so do I need to do let await? Let wait. Cannot find async fetch request in scope. Did I misspell it? REST response. Except it's not going to be a REST response. It's going to be, when we were looking at this, what is query response? Or here we go. This is good. I'm looking for the REST client.shared.send. Result in, I want to go to this method's definition, jump to definition, and we're going to go to this request resources, describe, metadata, send. Okay. Send request requested delegate. And okay, so it's going to use this one, and it's a void. It's going to use the delegate. How do we engineer around that? Cannot convert value of REST response to type data. So if we look at this, we also have the JSON methods. I want to go back. These are our we go to this one, jump to definition. We're going to be public func JSON data, turn JSON data. They're going to be REST response, self data equal to data. So that's what we want. We want to grab data here. So this is going to be, okay, I'm reasoning about this. It's going to be data, that, and we're going to do response dot data. Fine, we'll do as data. Okay. Found an unexpected second identifier. Ah, that's why. There we go. Hey, look at that. All right, we have 1 minute left. And expression is async, but is not marked with await. Let response equal wait. There we go. Hopefully that'll clear it up. Call can throw, but is not marked with try. Try wait. Okay, missing return function. Okay, so there we go. We've pulled back our data. Now what we want to do is turn that data into valid JSON, and then from valid JSON into our actual data objects. But for right now, it is 2 o'clock. We're going to stop and say thank you very much for tuning in. I look forward to talking to you and seeing you next week. Pay attention to this this repo as we get this working in a much more complete way. Again, thank you for tuning in, and see you again next